God wants to give you access in any space, you might not enter as the way you perceive. You can go in a company as a cleaner, but in real sense, there is an agenda that he has behind the scenes. But now it's up to you to understand that what he's trying to do is that there is a language that you can never understand when you're outside the system. There's a language you only understand when you're inside the system. So for example, let's say you'll be a hotel owner. Whether you like it or not, at some point you might work with someone who is a hotel owner. You can even work as a personal assistant, or you can even work as a driver. But if you lack that wisdom to understand that God is introducing you so that you can understand the terms and the language. I have studied diplomacy in Daystar University, and I've also studied public relations. Now in diplomacy in the United Nations circles, there's a language they use in terms of expressing themselves. There's a way in which you can talk, and we shall know that this lingual is from someone who has been in diplomatic circles. For the police officers, there's a language they use. For the doctors, I've seen Daktari is here, there's a language that they use. So it's proper to understand that one of the things that God does, he begins to introduce you in corridors where you'll be able to pick up that language quickly. Because in communication we say, communication is 65% what you're not saying and 35% what you're saying. And the 65% of what you're not saying is that language. There's a way in which you can look corporate. There's a way in which you can look churchy. There's a way in which you can look global. There's a kind of dressing that if I look at you, I'll know that you are actually a Christian. There's a kind of dressing if I look at you, I'll know you're in the corporate world. There's a kind of dressing if I look at you, I'll know that you're a business owner. There's a kind of dressing that you can put. If I look at you, I'll be able to know that this is someone from the diplomatic circles. That's what you call color psychology in communication. Black is a color for power. Gray is a color for power. Navy blue is a color for power. Red is a color for power. Purple is a color for royalty. And all these colors send a different message. That's why when presidents are being sworn in, they'll always have a red tie. So you cannot show up in a yellow dress in a boardroom meeting when people are discussing serious things and you look like you've come for a wedding. And at the same time, when you're meeting someone who is greater than you, there's a way in which you're also supposed to dress up. Like right now, I'm in these colors because I knew I'm also speaking to ladies, and to some degree, I don't want the masculine personality to show up. So I have to wear a suit that is colorful. Well, these are not colors that I like. You don't dress according to how you like, you dress up according to your destiny and assignment. So the conversation of my dress, my choice goes out. Because to some degree, you package your wardrobe according to your destiny, assignment, and mandate. That's what Joseph understood, and that's what David understood. So if your wardrobe only has clothes for young people, to some degree, it means that you're not ready to handle transgenerational impact. Because when you look at the 5 generations of the world, you're looking at baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, millennials. You must know how to dress up according to generational patterns. For example, the baby boomers and Gen X will love it when you're formal. The millennials will love it when you're complex, having a nice watch, smelling nicely, being a bit sophisticated as a lady, having a handbag and all those things. But the Gen Zs and the Alphas will love it when you're simple. And you must master that aspect of your wardrobe being balanced to have all the generations in mind. You can't be 20 years old and you only have suits, you're looking like a pastor. That's why you don't have a girlfriend. There must be balance. And also you can't be young and you only have jeans. It means that you're not ready to handle a certain generation. Because there are 3 generations. There's a generation called the gatekeepers, 50 years old and above. There's a generation called the influencers, 30 years old and above. Then there's a generation called the foundation. These are generations of 16 years old. You must know how to dress to every generation. The gatekeepers, they are the men opening the door for you. Their language is suits. They want you to wear suits. They want you to be a bit submissive. When you walk into a boardroom and they're lecturing you, they're telling you how your generation is confused, you're not supposed to contradict. You agree. You say yes, very confused. You must know how to agree with Pharaoh quickly so that he can be able to give you what you need, because in your destiny you don't have time. So that generation, there's a language they speak. Then the second generation, the influencers, they want you a bit sophisticated, have a proper laptop, have excellence, match up the colors and all that. Then there's another generation that they call the foundation. They're the generation that will decide how influential you'll be in the next 40 years. They want you to be authentic and simple in terms of your dressing. And you must know how to dress up according to all these generations. Generational mindset in terms of dressing is very key. You must also know how to dress up globally. For example, in America, if I dress up the way I've dressed, it means that I'm trying to hide something or I'm trying to create an impression. Did you know that there are great people who don't like it when you over-impress them? There is something called over-impression that Africans have. There's a level where you don't need to over-impress. When you over-impress, you lose opportunities. And especially in a certain cadre of great people, when you over-impress, there's a way in which they see you like a hypocrite. There's a way in which they might not be able to trust you. And when you get at that level where I'm calling doors, you must master these principles. Because if you don't master these principles, to some degree, there are things that you lack. Like some of you don't see social media as a serious thing. The last time you posted was 2 years ago, and it doesn't disturb you. And you're saying, Father, Lord, give me the whole world. How will God give you the whole world? There are things that you need. They are called the currencies of greatness. I've done a book called The Currencies of Greatness, and I've documented the 10 currencies of greatness, influence being one of them. And there are 3 levels of influence: solid, liquid, and atmospheric. Atmospheric influence is the influence on social media. You cannot ignore it. There's a level where atmospheric influence is what gives you access. How did I approach Brian? We talked on Instagram. How did I get access to Vusi? We talked on Instagram. One of the rules I was taught is that if I want to approach any great man, I should send a voice note that is 38 seconds and straight to the point. 38 seconds. Summarize it. It's a key. Because if anyone sees a voice note, they are curious. They want to listen to it. But if anyone sees a message, they can blue tick. But a voice note, they must listen to it. So that's something in communication. It's reverse psychology. That if I send you a voice note, you'll be curious to know, what is he saying? Is he singing? Or what is it? Is it a song? You'll be curious. And you go straight to the point and then understand, what does value mean to everyone? Listen, value to a white person is simplicity. Value to an African is solving poverty. Value to a great man is numbers. And you must know how to interpret value according to every person. That's what the Bible says in Colossians 4:6, that let your words be full of grace seasoned with salt. So what does it say? It says that let your words be full of grace seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to talk to each and everyone. There are 2 kinds of people in communication. You must know how to talk to each, then you must know how to talk to everyone. You must know how to talk to each, then you must know how to talk to everyone. Talking to everyone are the general etiquettes, like greeting people, telling hi the security guard, remembering their names. I want to ask a question. Any person who remembers the name of the security guard of this building, tell me. Any person. I'll give you 1,000 Kenya shillings. Yes? You ask her the name and you remember it? Nice one. I have 1,000 for him. Let's appreciate him. Can you imagine? Out of 300 people, only 1 person asks the security guard the name and they remember the name. Yes? He's not the only one. Even you. What's the name? She's called? Now, I will need a staff to confirm. Jean, you'll confirm. This guy can say the name of his neighbor. So we'll need to confirm. And if, yes. Yes. Writing the names of the people. Let's appreciate him. So those are 2 guys. Now, my question is, what will the name of the security guard help you? Let me tell you a story. There's a time in New York, milk company had big coolants. And one day, one of the managers, he used to greet the security guards every day. So one day he had gone to pick some records in terms of which milk has expired, how are the coolants doing. Then when he entered the room, it was an automatic room. The power went out. So when this guy is there, he doesn't know how to call anyone because his phone, he has left it in the office. And the coolants are becoming colder. So the guy is there for 30 minutes. It's 4 p.m. People have left. And he's the only guy who's inside this building. And the place is so cold. While he was almost suffocating at around 5 p.m., he had someone actually opening the door. And this person was a security guard. And the security guard told this guy, every day you've been greeting us at 4:20 p.m., latest 4:30 p.m. And today we waited before we go home for you to greet us, and you never came. So he looked around the place, because for the last 5 years, you have been greeting us every day. So it is not normal for you not to greet us. A greeting saved the life of a human being. In PR, there are small things, because greatness is not doing big things. Greatness is doing small things in a big way. And the small things really matter, like remembering names of people. And there's an art. If you've forgotten someone's name, I want to teach you an art of telling someone, remind me your name, without saying it. Ask someone, tell me your full name. So when you say, tell me your full name, it seems like you remember the first one, but you need the second one. There's an art of asking people their names when you've forgotten. but learn to remember people's names. The 3 most powerful skills that leaders have. I've studied dictators in the whole world, and one of the 3 most powerful skills that dictators have, they remember people's names, they remember names of locations, and they give speeches without reading. Go and study, and you'll see that that's a powerful leadership trait. Go and study the most powerful communicators, including your own pastor here, Pastor Grace. Look at how he speaks. He doesn't read so much. He's mastered the scriptures. One of the key things in communication is memory and mastery. The ability to speak without reading. There's something it says to your audience, but at the same time you're able to connect with people. Anytime I come here and I bend while reading, I do it like 10 times within a span of 40 minutes. I lose 70% of your attention. These are things that you need to know. If you're to approach that level I call doors, in business, in politics, you have to master these things, and you have to master them early. Now, I'll do some deconstruction in terms of mindset. I need you to know that Africans, where we are so far, there's a challenge that we have. That challenge is the education system. The education system has taught us how to live a life of patterns. In Africa, we say that life begins at 40. So that means that many people will actually not do things aggressively because they are waiting for life to hit at 40. So you'll find a young person, they might not be so serious with God until they hit 30. They might not be so serious in business until they hit 30. So what happens? The first 16 years of your life are for sleeping. Then you clear high school, go to campus. Campus in first year, heartbreaks. Second year, heartbreaks. Third year, you begin to focus a bit. Fourth year, get an internship. Then sit for 6 years, 5 years without a job. Then after that, get a wife in church, get 3 children, take them to a private school, buy an iPhone, get a loan, have a house in the rural area and in the urban city, then get a car again through a loan. Then at the age of 45, get this nice MacBook, and then afford holiday in Dubai. You're already rich, you're waiting to die. Then have a Prado. So it's a life of a pattern. It's so predictable.
Choose from thousands of realistic voices to use in your content. Change the way you record podcasts, voiceovers, and brand.
That by 16, I should have done this by 25. So if you're a lady, you've put a target and that by 30 I should have settled. Then by 35 this should have happened. What if in your life all these things are supposed to happen within 1 year? Now I want you to think like that. Because even right now as I'm talking to you, if your life is still programmed, all these things I'm saying might not really make sense. Because let me tell you, for knowledge to be a requirement, there must be necessity. The reason why we don't finish reading books, and the reason why we don't really master things like networking, influence on social media, it's because it's not a necessity. There is no need that you've created. They say, no matter how poor a person is, when they're taken to hospital, they'll find money to pay for the bill. Can you imagine even the poorest person on earth? Right now, if they go to the ICU, the family will find 6 million, but they can't find 6 million to open a business for them. I have seen funerals where people died of hunger, yet in their funeral, food remained. There must be a necessity on the other side. And as Africans, we have to change our mindset in terms of education, because education is one of the biggest enemies. Education tells you cannot start a company until you clear university. The average age of people starting companies in Africa is 38 years old. The average company of people starting companies in the Western countries is 16 years old. We cannot be the same. Go to China. Kids who are 11 years old are studying robotics, hacking and coding. Come to Kenya. Kids who are 11 years old are studying parts of a leaf and parts of an insect. Head, thorax and abdomen. How will parts of an insect help you in terms of disruption? And we do have a long way to go in terms of our education system. And do you know that the education system to some degree has affected us, even in terms of how we perceive ourselves, our self-esteem, in terms of timidity? To some degree, that's why you can find that an average African who failed, quote unquote, in terms of their secondary exams and in campus, to some degree they may not be so confident. But do you know that there are 6,500 new professions that have been introduced over the past 4 years that don't require any degree? For example, what degree does it require to hold a camera? What degree does it require to create reels? What degree does it require to be a graphics designer? What degree does it require to be a social media manager? What degree does it require to be a speech writer? What degree does it require to just be a creative in terms of brand strategy? And to some degree, These are things that they will never want us to know. Now, I'm not saying degrees are bad. I do have a degree, but I need you to understand that to some degree, you have to step out of this system if you have to actually disrupt this system.